Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. Today we present Awaken Sunday Live, a spiritual existence. This Sunday, that would be today, at 1 p.m. So it must be 1 p.m. Hello, Jennifer. Funny seeing you here again. So, nice meditation this morning. Kelly really enjoyed it. She said she wants to do it again sometime. That's fantastic. I love doing a variety of meditations that help people out. You know, and it is a fine afternoon, isn't it? Absolutely. So, Kelly made this beautiful, we had a bunch of apples that were getting a little too ripe. So she made this beautiful apple crunch concoction, super low sugar, super low fat. And it was so good. I had a piece last night and it was heaven. It was just fantastic with some fresh yogurt on it and those are the sort of things, pie without the guilt. And I'm looking forward to a piece of it on the deck this afternoon. I really am. So, we were talking about maintenance and how, my mind is on maintenance right now. I woke up this morning and you're welcome to our place anytime for some pie, Jennifer. You ever make it up here, not a problem. We'll fix one up. So I woke up this morning, and the first thing I do is I make coffee for both Kelly and I, and that is certainly maintenance. I tell you, if we don't both have that morning cup of coffee. So I make coffee, and then we went for a walk. We went out there and we maintained our bodies. We put some maintenance, some effort into the body. And then we came home and we maintained ourselves yet again by putting good, healthy food in our body. And then after that, we had a window of time and we went and played tennis for about half an hour, again, maintaining our body. And we will notice that we will do a lot of maintenance. We'll maintain our car and we'll maintain our body. Well or not, of course, is the different story. And one of the things that we usually don't put a lot of maintenance into, aside from a lot of people's homes I see, ours included, it's been a constant catch-up. As a matter of fact, I spent the bulk of the morning after the meditation sealing the driveway that I had muriatic acid and etched and cleaned yesterday. And all these things are part of that maintenance. But one of the things we don't really do enough of is do our spiritual maintenance. And we live in a vastly unconscious world, a world that's very much ran by ego. And you will see that unconsciousness, that sleeping masses everywhere. And it can become very disheartening. It can lower your vibrational state. It can cause you to literally experience the crab bucket effect, where those around you will grab you with their claws and pull you back into the masses. Part of the reason this happens is a lack of that spiritual maintenance, a lack of that self-maintenance at a higher and deeper level. So today, this is a very positive discussion. We're going to have a little discussion about our spiritual existence. And one of the first things that a lot of people face, and they still face it and will face it for their entire existence until such time as you're fully enlightened, and that is resolving the paradox of our apparent reality. The world is an illusion, granted, but go out there and step in front of a bus. The illusion's got teeth. The illusion hurts. The illusion can cause pain. The illusion can impart suffering. Hello, Cindy. Nice to see you. Glad you made it. We were just talking about the yummy food. Oh, yeah, and spiritual maintenance, which is what we're on to right now. So, this is the big paradox a lot of people face, is how do you resolve being in the illusion and knowing it's an illusion? And this is not a process that is a straight line. It's full of squiggles and twists and drawbacks and cliffs and left turns and right turns and upside down and falling back and sliding forward. It's not a straight path. The biggest part of this paradox is resolving that I complex. You know, when we sit there and say to somebody, you as what you think you are does not really exist, has no intrinsic existence, it is not permanent, therefore it is not real. What is real is that one sea of consciousness, and you are part of that magnificent whole. You know, people's minds usually short circuit at that point. You know, wait a minute, I'm part of one, and I'm not me, but I sure feel like me, and I act like me when I look at other people who don't act like me. And in fact, everyone acts the same. The underlying structure is the same. The content changes. It is the same with our reality. The underlying structure is that of the oneness of all creation. That one sea of consciousness. That one creative essence that permeates everything and allows everything to exist. And yet at the same time, there is this individuated sense of self. And how do you resolve that? How do you be the drop and the ocean simultaneously? Again, it's not a straight line. It's a path. Christ is an example of someone on that path. Any human being who has strove to become more, to refine that egoic self, to become more and more like that sea of consciousness, the process happens naturally. My suggestion to you is don't keep trying to resolve the paradox. The paradox just is. You are both a sense of self and a part of a greater, more, I shouldn't say more magnificent, a greater magnificent whole of which you are a part of. Allow that to be both simultaneously without comment on the how or who of it. You will find at various times in your life, you will naturally act out of that higher space. And you will find times when your buttons are pushed and when the reactions, which are literally that, reacting. We've already gone through it once. Our ego's already reacted or acted one way towards it. Now we're simply going to react the same way again. We're going to feel the same way again about it. These things are going to happen. Allow that to be okay. Allow yourself to experience the drop and allow the ocean to reveal itself to you. You can't resolve the paradox. It is something that we can conceptualize at a mind level, sure. And, you know, here's the funny thing. Nothing we conceptualize about at a mind level do we honestly know. You think about the mind, it uses words, and you think about words. What we're talking about are 5 vowel sounds and a whole bunch of consonant sounds created by air pressure, like H or S. Do you really think the depth of our experience and the depth of our being could be expressed by 5 vowels and a bunch of consonants expressive of air pressure from the human throat? We're not even scratching the surface yet. My honest advice, stop scratching the surface. It's going to come to you. The process is already underway. If you're here listening to videos like this, if you're reading books of spiritual bend, if you're engaging in practices to grow your own conscious awareness, the process is already well underway. There's nothing that you really need to struggle with or worry about. It's not a race. Thank you, Cindy. And really, it all comes down to that letting go. In the meditation this morning, the whole idea was the shore you're standing on and the chains that appear to bind us to our pasts, to our commitments, our obligations, those we love, those we hate, those we are angry at, those we can't get along with, those we do get along with, those we miss. We think when we have to let go of all of that, and this is the exact same thing that Yoda was talking about, okay? And I love Yoda. He's the coolest little green dude there is around. And alive or dead, he still talks. But he understood that you have to let go what you fear to lose. And here's the magnificent beauty of it. And this was the thing about the meditation this morning. Whatever you fear to lose, once you've let go of it, once you've truly released it, that which you have feared to lose comes to you more fully, more creatively, more expressively, more joyfully than you could have ever imagined yourself. That was the secret of the Jedi. That was their strength. In the letting go, all the power comes back. All the things you feared losing return in magnificent abundance. That's why when you get to the other shore, you are greeted by all the beings you left behind you. That gym teacher who made an out loud comment in the middle of gym class about your body odor. That teacher's there. That teacher was a gift. And on that far shore, you see that gift. The only thing you have to do today is accept that everything that occurs to you, everything that you assume is happening to you, is a gift. It's a gift of growth, a gift of evolution, a gift of opportunity to express yourself more highly, more compassionately, more lovingly, more closer to that which you deify than you've done before. And it's okay when you don't. It's okay when you fall off the wagon and you go unconscious. There's a great cure for that, and it takes time. But again, there is no race. And we're going to talk about this letting go and again, and I've come back to this time and time again, and we're going to keep coming back to it. One of the biggest things we need to do is let go of the opinion about our life that we hold. I used to hold opinions about my existence. Now I have no opinion on it. As a matter of fact, I said to Kelly, honey, I'm comfortable with where I am in my existence. Whatever you want to do for the next 5 years of our lives, choose. I'll back you up. Doesn't matter to me. I have no opinion on it. Release expectations. In the same way, I have no expectations on whether she's going to choose for us to stay here or try doing something else or move somewhere. It doesn't really matter to me. I have no expectations. You see, when you drop your opinions and you release your expectations, it doesn't mean that you don't have opinions still. It means that you understand that your opinion is not truth. It's just an opinion. And then you will be far more likely to be able to hear someone else's opinion. But be careful. Because in the same way that you used to think your opinions were truth, a lot of times they're going to think their opinions are truth. In letting go of your opinion, of not having to have an opinion, when you do have an opinion and someone else has a different one, you don't feel like you have to defend yours. It's okay. You understand that as long as you're alive, everything that you think about existence is indeed nothing more than an opinion. As long as we're speaking in words, there is no absolute truth. We're pointing in the direction of. We're waving in the general in the general cardinal direction we're to head. You know, there's a path over there somewhere. That's really what we're doing with words. As I just said, truth cannot actually be held. Truth, the only true truth, okay, true, is only observable in the moment of the experience by the experiencer, and it's mostly personal. Now, the truth of water falling from the sky, of course, is experienced by many people. But how they choose to perceive that is only theirs and only exists in that one moment in time. It is never something static. It is never, when I was young, I used to think the truth is that my Savior was the guy nailed to the cross behind the altar in the Catholic Church. I was an altar boy. That was truth to me. When I was older, it was true that there was no God. When I grew more mature yet and my eyes were open to a higher reality, my truth changed yet again. We have this idea in our head that as soon as we say it's truth, that it's static and solid and big and blocky and stands there forever, like a doorway we can't get through. Like a big imposing stone. This is the truth of your existence. The only truth of your existence is that you exist. And that's up for debate. Surrender to not knowing. Surrender. And Kelly and I have talked about this a few times. Give up on the idea that you need to know. Because in truth, you can't. You can't know in your head. You can't know in this context. The only thing you can know is to go beyond. To go beyond the mind. To leave the mind behind. And then you will have an experience. And that experience will be your experience. And it will be your truth. And it will be valid. And it will be transformational. And of course, it will have elements in it common to all of humanity. But it will be your experience. Let go of the need to know, because what we do in our heads, that egoic need to know, never actually leads to the knowing. It leads to a superficial, I find this in science a lot. It's like, okay, so you've put a name to it, so now you know what it is. Well, that's a bee. What does a bee, what does the name, what does the classification have to do with the bee? What a bee is exists beyond words. It exists in the experience between you and the bee and the flower. Words cannot capture it. Don't presume to know. In not knowing is the joy and awe. Be like little children. Little children don't profess to know. Little children don't know anything about the butterfly. They just know it's beautiful and they want to chase it all over the yard. Allow yourself to return to that state of being, and you will find yourself living a more deeply spiritual existence in that alone. Big benefit. Actual living, and here we come down to the actual living part, and this is another thing that kind of gets me, and Kelly has fallen prone to this, and I have in the past, many years ago as well. You read a book and you see how Christ behaves, in the autobiography of Christ, and you say to yourself, well, I want to be like that. And you are that already, but you're not. But you go out there as if you are that. And you think Kelly used to do this with her family. She used to say, well, I should just march up there and knock on the door and say, what the hell is going on? And I would say to her, honey, really? Think about that for a minute. And she would go on about how so-and-so would do this. And I would say, well, you're not so-and-so. You're not where so-and-so is at yet. You are where you are at. Now, again, we face this paradox. We are that magnificently powerful being, and thinking that you are certainly helps, but it doesn't feel like it all the time. Your actual living is about refinement. It's not about lockstep. It's not about being like Christ in every moment. It's not even about Christ, okay? You pick whoever you want. I personally revere the man that Christ was, the enlightened being, as I revere many gurus. Your choice of which one to use, to emulate, to look up to in their behavior, your point is to refine your character, your particular view in that direction. Not march in lockstep. Not attempting to be everything they were in that enlightened state, in the state you are in clearly today. Daily retrospection is your biggest actual living spiritual existence tool. And I do this every day right before bed. Every day right before bed, I go through my day. I look at the times I fell unconscious. I look and I find times where I realized that I was falling over the cliff into unconsciousness. And you know what? It was like, yeah, okay, I'll go on this ride. Why not? And away I went. You will begin to see these things clearer and clearer and clearer. And the more clearly you see them, the more you will recognize these energies coming up in you the next time. And again, retrospection is not about retro blame. It's really about responsibility. It's really about seeing how you behave during the day, where you allowed yourself to fall down a little bit, where you reacted, and look at both sides of the coin. Also look at the situations where, I'll tell you a quick story. We bought this big piece of glass for the basement, a mirror, because we do yoga down there and we work out, and that's sort of our meditation room and our community room. And we bought a big 4x6 a sheet of mirror. It was fairly expensive. And I went to mount it on the wall, and a giant crack appeared in 1/3 of the glass. And in front of my eyes, it ran down the entire piece of glass, and a full 1/3 of that 4x6 sheet just popped right off of it. In that moment, time stood still. I saw the anger, the energy of ego seething there, ready to bust a blood vessel at this brand new mirror that we just had delivered, cracking and breaking right in front of me. And I looked at it, and I chose to leave it alone. I looked at the piece of glass, and I looked at the space that it had created, and I thought, I can do something with this. I can make this unique. I can make this beautiful out of the break. So I went upstairs and I talked to Kelly about it, and I talked to her about, in Japan, how they mend broken vases and other broken materials with gold or gold fill. That the experience of the object and the nicks and the breaks and the cracks are all part of the intrinsic beauty of it. It's not beauty because it's perfect. It's beauty for all that it is and all that it has experienced. That is always our choice. So in those daily retrospections, you can also gain positivity for yourself by seeing where you caught yourself. You know, that is a huge victory. In that moment of catching yourself, your awareness grows by a leap, all by itself. Nothing you have to do about it. Use this tool of daily retrospection. Biggest thing of all is this, and you know, so many are so guilty of this. Stop beating yourself up. And you notice it says little self, right? The small s. Ego is not to be killed. I'm really tired of seeing posts that want to kill ego. Ego cannot be killed. You use your ego while you're here. It is an immensely beneficial tool that's simply running a little bit amok. Realizing you are not that egoic self and that acting from that egoic space still is not only possible, it's actually relatively easy to do. Again, it's all about that refinement. Allowing yourself to grow and evolve one step at a time. You know, maybe the person who you would have punched in the face this time, or last time you meet them, maybe this time you only yell at them. Maybe that's as far as you can get, but that's a monumental step away from the violence of last time. Now think of it in terms of existences instead of one existence. And that pressure can come off even more. There's nothing you can do here that is wrong. Part of living a truly spiritual existence is understanding that you are here for the experience and the responsibility of your choices during the experience, not for blame. You can't mess this up. There's nothing you can do that will leave you in harm's way. To finish off the actual living part, the daily practices, and this is a big one. You know, I don't know if you're doing the meditations with us on the Help Awaken channel or in your own meditative practices. When you feel that spaciousness, when you're at the end of the meditation or at whatever space that you come into that openness where all of a sudden you expand, that is probably the most energizing experience you can have in a sleeping world. You know, it's very easy to get caught up with all the physical things going on around us. Like I said, the illusion packs quite a punch. Meditation can bring you back to the truth of your being. Come back to it over and over again. Again, this is a big one. Create a sacred space. It doesn't matter if it's a clothes closet, a space under the stairs that you have to crouch down and sit cross-legged in. You know, hopefully you're not afraid of small spaces, but find a sacred space. Make a sacred space. Have a space where when you come into that space, you have made agreement with yourself and that space that within that little space, however size it is, nothing that normally plagues you from the land of illusion, from Maya, can enter into that space. That space is your energy neutral zone. That place for you to discharge any negative energies from the day and recharge yourself. Bring yourself, reunite yourself, remember the truth of your being. Again, retrospection. You know, and I've talked with Kelly about this before, because her usual routine is, you know, do something, I'll mention something about it, then she'll get upset with herself and blame herself. That is not retrospection. Retrospection is instead objectively looking at the behavior, looking at the momentary unconsciousness or the unconscious event, looking at the triggers, understanding why you reacted the same way, and then being joyful that you managed to catch it, even if it's after the fact. It still amounts to your awareness growing without any additional effort at all. Spiritual texts. And Kelly and I again talked about this yesterday, because she said to me, she says, how is it you always get everything done? I touch it every day. My commitment with all the things that I need to do is to simply touch them once a day. Sometimes I touch them for a couple hours. Sometimes I only touch them for 5 minutes. But every day, the things that I need to accomplish are touched. And if you do that, it will all come together all by itself. The same thing holds true with our spiritual growth. Don't allow the hamster wheel of the illusion, okay, the treadmill of life, to stop you from taking time to touch those spiritual texts, to listen to a video that uplifts you, to spend some time in introspection and retrospection with yourself. Again, Sangha or community. This is really important. And again, Kelly and I have talked about this again just last night. We love having an online community. We love being part of an online Sangha, a community of like-minded beings who wish to grow and share and evolve together and support each other and learn from each other. And we must strive, of course, to make these communities physically real as well. In some ways it bothers me that I know people in Australia better than I know my neighbor 3 doors down. Why is that? These are questions we need to examine within ourselves. These are all part of leading a spiritual existence. It's all about looking beyond the orange peel, going just a little deeper. And beautiful post posted today. I'm not sure exactly who did it, but the gist of it was, it's really about choosing your highest you in every situation. Choose your highest thought. Choose the highest state of compassion you can muster. Be that which you wish to be as often as you can be, and you will find soon that you already have become what you wish to be. That's it. That's all I have. Much love. Namaste to you all. Looking forward to getting on to some specific subjects in the upcoming week or two. And of course, our meditations to continue. And any questions, concerns, advice, or help needed, get a hold of us via the page or, of course, via Messenger. Much love. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.